what's up? It's Sifu Cuddle, and in this video we're going to be doing one of the fanciest techniques that you can do with a long weapon. That's by spinning it over your head and then bending over and then spinning it over your back. I like to call this one overs and unders. There's really lots of different ways that you can call this, but it's an advanced spin. It's got a lot of hand changes, and it's got some consequences if you don't do this correctly. So make sure you take safety into account first. I'm going to be demonstrating with the weapon itself, but if you've never done this with a weapon that is just a single weapon, like a staff or a spear, I suggest you take a staff and you tape the top section, so that way you know where the section would be. And also, this is all about consistency. Consistency is the key to success in this technique and being able to do it with a wide variety of weapons, whether you're going to use it for staff, spear, long-handled broadsword, guando, horse chopper, monk's spade, or even a 3-section staff. You want to always grab the same way, make the same hand changes at the same time every single time, and make sure all of your technique is consistent straight across the board. That will keep you from getting injured or hurt by having, especially these flexible weapons, by having something just a little bit off. You could end up hitting yourself in the head or on the ribs or the legs themselves too. So pay close attention. And again, if you haven't done it with a single weapon, don't start doing it with the 2-section staff just because it's easy to watch, okay? That's all I'm gonna say about that. From here, it's all about grip changes and making sure to stay consistent, okay? So let's go get to work. Okay, so like I mentioned in the introduction, if you have never done this with a staff, don't attempt it with a 2-section staff. You should be able to do this with a staff to the point where you could do it 100 times in a row, no problems, no hesitation, no imbalance, no dropping the weapon. You should be able to do this very consistently. So again, even though I'm demonstrating with the 2-section staff, you can practice this with a single staff and still get the same results when you move to the 2-section staff. If you have any hesitations or problems in doing this with a staff, once you add this extra flexible section, you're going to have some consequences. This thing will swing around and it will hit you. So save yourself the injuries. Just start with the staff and tape the tip of the staff so you can visibly see the section or where the section would be. Okay? Now, what I want you again to pay attention to those two things: grip position and consistency throughout this whole thing. And consistency will be emphasized, but not as much as grip position, because grip position is the key to setting up your consistency. Okay, now let's start by grabbing the staff. I'm going to grab it with my thumb pointing up and towards the section of the staff. I only need to grab it with my right hand here. And then I'm gonna hold it next to my body, okay? This is very simple, all right? Now we're gonna work on the small section. This is while you're bending over and then bringing the staff from hand to hand, and when you're grabbing again with your right hand. So we're just isolating this small section here. And here's how I want you to do it. So again, I'm holding the staff in my right hand. I'm going to let the tip go down to the ground. Notice my grip does not change. I'm not going to let go, and I'm going to put it behind my back. If you have a 2-section staff, don't do this part fast. You're gonna end up hitting yourself, okay? However, right here, this is the key. This is the part that I want you to get used to. We're gonna take the staff and we're going to unwind again, okay? It's simple, it's a half a rotation, okay? So again, I'm gonna put it behind my back, and then from here, I'm going to unwind, okay? That's where you want the speed and the emphasis. Right here doesn't matter putting it behind your head. This is just a position for us to start for in this section. So again, right here, I'm going to extend out to the side. Now, if you have to see it from the front, same exact thing. I'm not even gonna worry about stance right now. I'm just going to hold it out to the side. Now, hand position. I'm gonna mention this again. I'm not changing my hand position. I'm not letting go and changing it just to put it behind my head. Once I've grabbed in this position, my hand is going to stay holding it. I'm not going to change my grip over here, okay? The only time I'm going to let go with this hand is once I grab with the other hand, okay? So I would suggest do this one 5 to 10 times without my prompting on your own, and when you feel comfortable doing it, then it's time to move on to the next step. Again, taking the tip of the staff, putting it behind your body. I can rest the staff on the ground right here, and then 1, okay? And then again, 2. All right, we can do 5 to 10 of these and then come back. Okay, now that you have that part down, we're gonna leave it out for a little bit. I want you to take the staff, and again, we're gonna hold it, a regular grip. We're not changing the grip. I'm gonna keep it in my right hand. I'm going to place it a little bit behind my body now on the ground, and then I'm going to reach out. So I'm gonna let it tip down, okay? Now from here, we're gonna isolate the spin over the head. So all we're going to accomplish in this is going down from side to side. Now the hand change is super important. Okay, and the way that we do this is going to be the exact same way every single time, and I'm not going to do any fancy things with my fingers. So let's take a closer look at that. This is the important hand change that I'm talking about, and this will lead into some consistency as well. Every time you bring the hand up over the head, it's going to be the exact same way, and with our other hand, we're going to grab the exact same way. Every single time without fail. So make sure, take the time to develop this technique. Do it slow, and then once you have that down, go faster. The consistency will happen on its own. But if you try to just do it as fast as you can every single time, you're gonna make these sloppy little adjustments, and you will never have a single consistent way of doing this, okay? So start slow, consistent timing, then you can go faster. Now the hand change is very simple. We're going to simply bring our right hand up, like our palm pointing towards us, and then we're going to take our left hand and match it over the top, okay? Like a bird, all right? So again, I'm just going to bring my right hand up, left hand down. This is pretty much how it looks when you're grabbing it without a staff, when it's just the hands. So my right hand comes up, left hand down, okay? Now, how it's going to look is, when this comes up over my head, I'm going to spin. Notice my hand is still gripping the staff. It goes around my head, and then after that full rotation, my hand starts turning. I can't hold on to it anymore like this. It's just not going to rotate any further with my hand firmly gripping, and this is where I'm going to start to let go. So now when it's pointing exactly forward above my head, forward and backward above my head, is when I'm going to make this grip change. Now, this is where my left hand is going to come up, grab. I'm going to let go with my right hand, and the staff will continue to move. And as it does, I will be able to grip it in my left hand and then bring it all the way around. So again, starting with it in my right hand, watch as it comes around. It goes all the way around, and then when my hand cannot spin any further, I'm only holding it between my thumb and my index finger. The grip can still be pretty light here. It may end up looking like this. I'm not going to totally show this other than in demonstration so that you can see this is all I need right here. But I have a nice backup by a little bit of grab with the rest of my fingers. So as it comes up and it points forward, I grab, let it spin, and then I can come all the way down to the side. Okay? So again, this time with a little more speed, but not too fast. We go up, grip, down. And it's as simple as that. You want to just let the staff carry itself over and around. So again, without the staff, I come up, grab, out. This is something I would suggest practicing 5 to 10 times, going in both directions, because it's very useful for your staff training anyway. So let's try this one a couple of times. I'll start with the staff from next to my body. I'm going to tip it down so it's behind my back. I don't want it to be in front of my body here. If it's in front, then I can't do a full rotation. If it's behind my body, I can do that full rotation. Okay, so now I'm going to bring it up all the way around, and once it points forward, hand change, and then grab as it comes back down. I emphasize the stop. You don't need to do that, okay? So I purposefully show that stop and point towards you Don't worry about that. Just let the staff go on its own, okay? So again, same thing from the side angle. Notice it goes around my head, and then when it's forward, I grab and then down. And I can do the same thing coming back. It goes around the head, grab, and then down. The gripping hand, whatever hand you're transferring to, will always go from the outside, okay? So you're always going to come up on the outside of the other hand. So my right hand comes up on the outside, grabs, and then down. And then just practice going from side to side, let it swing naturally down. 5 to 10 times, and then come back. All right, now that you have that part down, this is where it's going to start getting a little bit tricky. Before, when we do the spin, it's easy to look at the staff, you can pay attention to what you're doing. But from here until the next hand change, you're going to have to do everything by feeling. So spend a little more time on this part when you get this down. Again, if you're ever worried, if you're trying this with the 2-section staff and you're feeling a little nervous or you're going to hesitate, just go back to the staff until you feel super confident and then come back to this. Okay, so this time I'm going to start with the staff in my left hand. Now I'm not going to worry about doing the bending over part just yet. We just need to focus on the hand change. This hand change is going to be a little bit different. So the staff is going to start left hand, my thumb is pointing up. I'm going to set it down a little bit behind my body. So it's not just next to it. I'm not going to let this swing in front of my body. When I do this part, it's going to swing behind my body, okay? So from here, I'm going to take the staff down, up, just like what we did before with our right hand, and I'm going to end up with it behind my back, pointing straight up and down. If you're working with the 2-section staff, go a little bit slow here because this free end, even if you're going just a little bit slower than normal, it could end up still hitting you. So just go super light, super slow. Okay, so again, I'm going to unwind. I'm going to take the staff, tip it down, bring it behind the body, and then up. Now, once it's up, straight up and down, I'm going to take my right hand and I'm going to grab so that my right hand is underneath my left hand. This is that consistent hand change you have to have every single time. Your right hand needs to be underneath the left, okay? So again, right here, you're going to dip, bring it up, grab, okay? So again, from here, I'm going to dip, bring it up, grab. Again, extending out, dip, bring it up, grab. Now when I do this, I always feel my right hand touching my left. I don't just go to a random position. I always try to go all the way up to make that consistent so I know exactly where I am in the staff. When you have a regular wooden staff that's the same thickness on both ends, all you have to do is just stay near the middle. Once you have like a traditional waxwood staff that's thin on one end, thick on the other end, you're going to have to make some adjustments because it's heavier on the thick end. When it comes to a 2-section staff, this moving section will definitely affect the balance. So you have to make adjustments in movement as well. These things come through feeling, and this part is all about feeling. So once you guys get the hang of this, start slow, build up that speed. But until then, 5 to 10, taking it, tipping behind the back, and then the grab, okay? And then come back. All right, now as a small section, this one I would add on from what we did earlier, from what we did at the very beginning. So now we're going to focus on just doing a couple where you dip down, up, and then bring it to the other side. If you can do this nice and consistent, moving the staff at its own weight, then you'll have a really nice chance of working on this as it goes behind the back. So again, I tip down, up, and then over, okay? Again, I'm going to tip down, up, and then bring it over to the side. This one is a great way to connect this into the rest of the technique. So just get that constant motion going. All right, if you've made it this far, you've made it. Okay, so now let's put everything together. I'm going to emphasize stance, but not too much, because the main thing you have to do is pay attention to what the staff is doing. Pay attention to your stance after that. Otherwise, if you have too many things going on in your head, you'll have an extra thing going on outside of your head too. Okay, with all of that said, we're gonna do a horse stance position. So feet out to the side, bend the knees. We want the toes pointing straight forward. From our horse stance position, I'm going to start with it out towards my right, just like we did in the beginning. So if it's in my right hand, thumb pointing up with the grip, I'm going to tip it down so that this is behind my back. The lower end is behind my back. Okay? So again, from our horse stance position, I'm going to swing it forward, and then I'm going to do that hand change over my head right here, and then I'm going to grab. Now, instead of just touching it to my back right here, the motion is going to be more or less the exact same thing. So I come up, grab, and then once my hand starts coming down, this is when I want to do the forward bend. Notice naturally the staff starts turning as well once I start bending here. So I want to continue over my back, and then once it's around, it's straight up and down. Just like when we had this position, when we were standing straight up and down, this is where I'm going to grab underneath, and then I'm going to finish the rotation while I'm bending over. A lot of times when people get hit, it's in two places. The first place is right here. If they don't bend soon enough, they're going to get hit. If they try to bend as this comes over, once they do the grab, if they start standing up, this is where they get hit for the second one. So you have to make sure, finish the rotation. It should be pointing down at this point. Okay, so the section, our free section, is behind us. The main section of the staff is pointing forward. From there, you'll extend out to the side. This little extension out to the side makes a big difference, because as we're here, if I just try to whip the staff around, my circle is not going to give me enough time to stand up, and I'm not going to have enough time to put power into it. So again, once I'm here, watch from a standstill position pretty much with the staff, I can swing it up and around much faster. And it comes from this little bit of extension out here, and that'll catch the momentum. At the same time, this is where you're going to have a little bit extra wrist rotation. So as we come up again, that's where I want my wrist rotation. I want to snap so that I can get that extra power to keep this extending out as if it were one single staff. Okay? Now notice, I'm able to do this slow. If you're working with the two-section staff, you should be able to do it slow too, without having to worry about hitting yourself. And even if you do, it's slow. It's not that bad. Okay? So again, behind my body, I'm going to bend down. Now, as we go over the head, you can just do it like this. I'm not doing anything with my upper body. However, a lot of styles like to do a backward tilt, so it goes over the chest. So I just maintain that horse stance, and then I'm going to lean back here. And I can watch my hands in action the whole time. Okay? So again, I'll lean up and over, grab, bend forward, continue the grab, and then finish the rotation. Don't stand up too soon. Okay? If anything, really pay attention from when you're bending over and you do the transfer there, because that's the most difficult part. You have to do it by feeling, and you have to trust that you've spun the staff around completely before you stand up again. Okay? Now, again from here, up, over the head, down, behind the back, up, over the head, down, behind the back. All of this I'm just letting the staff carry itself. I'm not trying to turn, I'm not trying to add any extra rotation or power. I'm letting it carry its own weight, and I'm just guiding it around. If you can do that, then you can start speeding it up. However, if you can't do that consistently, take a little more time. There's no rush on this one. It's not a race. When you do it right, that's when it's impressive. Okay, so there you have it. Super fancy technique. Now, Practical application, you're not going to be using this to hit somebody. Having this spin in a single hand while bending forward, bending back, doing all of these different positions is not going to strike somebody around you. And if you've seen it in a movie, that's because it's in a movie. What this does is this is more of a training technique. It requires a lot of coordination and a lot of extra work to make it possible. And not only that, to make it look good. So you're developing the muscles that you need and the timing, the coordination to spin this thing around at the right time to keep it looking and appearing as if it's a single weapon. And at the same time, you're having to think of all different limbs of your body at once and pay attention to what this is doing. So this will help your fighting. This will help your sparring because you're going to have a little more coordination because of this crazy stuff that you put yourself through. And you're also going to have a little more strength because you do have to have a good grip and you have to have good hand turnover to keep this thing moving at a consistent pace. So these things will benefit your sparring and your fighting, although I wouldn't call it direct applicable technique where it's something where you could do a block or a strike or something like that. However, again, it's a super fancy spin and it definitely shows your skill, not only that if you can do it, but if you can do it well. Okay, so put in the time, learn how to do this, and what I would suggest is the best training is to be able to do this 10 times, over, under, non-stop, and have it look clean the whole time. If you can do that, you really have this technique down. Okay, so that's it. So if you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button. If you have any questions, drop a comment down below. I'm always happy to help you out. Even if this video is like 2 to 10 years old, I will still try to reply and help you figure this one out. Otherwise, make sure you guys subscribe, and thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.
Bam.